So you can love or forgive the person that steals, or the person who is a drunk, and the person who's violent, or whatever else it is. But you tell me that you cannot have compassion toward the person who harms a child or murders. I'm going to talk about this. You can't have it both ways. I'm going to point out a few things that is actually not the problem of the murderer or the person who hurts children, but it's us. Are you ready? I hope that those of you who struggle with this can go into a place of peace. Let's go. Welcome. Lovely, lovely. All right, we got a little overcast today. Put the coffee down. Yeah, I hear all the time, yeah, I get it, and yes, we are all one, and that energy field is me. Of course, we're not really thinking that. And so, I can love the person who does this or this or this or my nasty boss, but no, not the person who harms a child or their murderer, or the person that tortures anybody else. Well, so I have a question for you. With hate of any kind, judgment of any kind, what is that? Let's put aside what it's judging. That is the lowest frequency. That is not the frequency of awakening. It doesn't matter what you're judging. If you're judging anything, I want you to think of everything as a frequency. You're looking at the actions by dense human beings, not the human being, and asking yourself how we can come from that. How does that get created? And how do we as a society allow it? How is this not stopped? And some of you will say, well, we're trying to. No. A really healthy society that would never even exist. It's not even possible, right? So why are we still pointing the finger at those who are injured most, who need the most help? Why? Because they seem powerful, they seem perfectly capable of making up their own mind and choosing. Yes, of course they do hold the same power that we do. But in that moment that you're saying that, you too are just in total opposition, which places you in an entanglement with somebody who's doing something in total opposition, right, of love. Now, I want to ask you this: if we are all one, then why does that exist? So why aren't we looking at the source of destruction and anger and hate, and working on that instead of opposing those who go into that space, and understanding that there's a reason why people go into the darkness. There's a source, there's a cause and effect of that. And we're not working on that enough. We're always patching things up. The cure for cancer. And then we go to fast food places which have chemicals. We buy foods that have chemicals and plants that are sprayed with all kinds of cancer-causing chemicals. We use chemicals in our homes, and then we're going to battle cancer. This is how we operate. Why do you find yourself unable to not, you don't have to love them, have the compassion for those who go into a dark place and strike out and harm others? Why are you unable to do that? Christ did it. Christ forgave the worst possible murderers, us, for murdering him. Isn't that what brought everybody out of the darkness, according to the Bible, according to Christians? Isn't that what redeemed everybody, saved everybody? The fact that this human who brought the divinity of the one here in a form that we hadn't seen in a while. I know there's other prophets here who've been in that position. He demonstrated that no matter what, that we can go into the divine place and find love for absolutely every form of density. All of it. And you're going to tell me that you can't do that because you're going to label a certain type of darkness as unforgivable. This is your challenge, not theirs. And so when we go into that space, and I know some of you are going to think this is total woo-woo, when you go into the space of compassion and forgiveness of those who are in those positions of density, you actually affect them in a positive way. Now, you've watched my videos on prayer, and the scientists who have tried to prove that it doesn't work found out unquestionably it does. In fact, it was mind-blowing what they were doing. So, who are they healing? Anybody. It doesn't matter. They weren't judging whether that person deserved to live or not. They weren't judging the ill murderer against the ill saint. They just healed everyone. They prayed for everyone, and it worked. If you want to heal the planet, if you want to heal the murderer or that person who abuses children, the only way to affect that in a positive manner is to go into the space, the Christ space, of total love and compassion for all forms of itself. You're looking at yourself, and every form of you is doing things that are unfathomable. Are you ready to go into that space? You can't have it both ways. You cannot go in hate and anger against others and say that you're awakening. You're not. And so let's just say the work that needs to be done isn't on them, it's on you. And from there, we will operate differently, and we will find compassion for those who are sick in many ways. And we will change the world through the prayer and the actions that show compassion for all beings and help them to find their way out of that darkness. And then, instead of trying to save the children or save anything, we're cutting off the source of the issue in the first place. And yeah, we're trying to do that, but I don't think most people look at it that way. It's your anger and your hate and your I can't forgive them. So you're ranking forgiveness. I can forgive this, but I can't forgive that. You do or you don't. You can't have a little faith. And faith is that we were told, ye without sin cast the first stone. Right? We are to love all beings, all things, all creation. We don't have to understand it. And if you can't go to that space, compassion is the next best thing. Can you imagine what was going through the head, the mind of somebody who goes to that dark space? It's illness. They're so not in touch with their divinity. And so they are acting out the darkness of humanity. And we created that. Well, I wasn't here. Yeah, you were actually. You were always here. You were always here, and you've always participated, and you always will. Maybe not as a human. Why are you not able to forgive? By the way, that's not saying it's okay. It's not okay. There's a difference. But why are you unable to forgive someone who does something that you're judging? I'm judging that this is forgivable and this isn't. Judgment of any kind is the lowest frequency. It's separation. And it's no different than the person who harms another because they feel separate. They don't have compassion for anything or anyone that they're abusing because they don't see them as a human being, as one divine thing that they're connected to. Total density, 100% density, man. They're there. Where are you going when you see them as evil and rotten and somebody who's not worthy of anything? Do you think God did not create them? Did you think God made a mistake? Why would God allow this? God is doing it. We're doing it. We're exploring it. And we're not stopping it. We are not stopping it. And I always ask the people that tell me that they're pointing fingers, what are you actually doing? Very rarely. I have actually recently had a couple people say that they're doing something, but very rarely. Because those that are taking action to change it aren't in hate. They're solving problems. They're solving the issues of humanity, not of that issue. It's humanity. It's us. And we're a collective field. And there's something in that collective that can change, and something in there that likes to explore that space. And we're pulling out of it, and we can change all of it. It starts with you. If we continue to hate one another as humans, no matter what, it's not the issue. It's not this. It's the hate, the judgment, and the finger pointing that is the downfall of humanity. It's not what that person did. Everybody has a different idea of what's forgivable or not. It's humanity's hatred and separation of one another. That's it. So it's not the discussion about, oh, well, they did this and they did. It's about, are you hating and you're judging? Then you are part of the problem with the planet that hasn't been able to pull out of density. And there are no real problems. But I think we're done with it. What are you doing? Are you contributing? Are you saying that person must have come from such an unloving, horrible place, whether it was in this lifetime or another? They're an energy field. You won't always know where that stuff comes from. We don't need to know. All we need to know is that if we pull together as one, and we stop the hatred and the anger and the arguing with one another about this stuff, we bless them and we take action to end it. We take the action to end it, but we do it in a way that knows that these people are sick. There's sickness. Humanity is sick. And for me to judge them is sick. And for me to be angry or hate is sick. It's all the same category, don't you understand? It's just a level of the sickness. Don't go into it. Can you love that person? Can you at least show compassion and say, this is part of our human sickness? I'm going to send them blessings. I want to send them healing, to go into that space of darkness and send some light into that. That's what's going to stop the negative behavior. That will stop the negative behavior. Or lock them up. That's not how we want to continue to live. So, are you judging? That is not the Christian way if you're a Christian, right? Judgment. Who are you to judge? You're going to cast the first stone? Sinning is sinning. I don't believe there is such a thing. I think we're just exploring all the darkness and light that we are here as humans. But if you're doing something, a lie or cheating, have you ever cheated? Yeah? Yeah? Have you lied? Have you ever lied? Yeah? Have you stolen anything? Have you ever hurt somebody? Have you ever said anything to somebody because you knew it would hurt them? Yeah. Oh, you look good today, finally dressing nice. Yeah. Uh-huh. What's that? Oh, but that's not a murder. It's not? I want you to think about that. Come on over and join the monthly Miracle Circle at landriaonkka.com. We're going into amazing spaces. Once a month we have a Miracle Circle where we actually focus on making a change on whatever we choose. We do it as a group, and it only takes a handful of people to do that. You get the recording, and then we get training on the Master Key System to go into the consciousness of pure love. The consciousness of that which you desire. No more judging, no more anger, no more pain, no more struggle, no more struggle. All right, come on over. Please subscribe. You can share these videos anywhere. This is a tough one for, I think, most people, but it has to be done. It's one of the biggest challenges is for us to go into love. It's about you. Are you going to go into love? And so what does the one give you? The biggest challenge of all. All right, can you love that? Let's see if you can love that. Because you love or you don't. You're awakened or you're not. You have faith or you don't. Here we go. Let's see if you can love that. You're whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Blessings to you, my friend. Namaste.